All right, so welcome everybody to another episode of Stay Till the Credits. This is the big episode number 3, where we finish talking about Spider-Man 3. We're concluding the trilogy. I'm Sebastian,
I'm JB Quintana.
and yeah, let's get into it. So, Spider-Man 3. General thoughts, not that good, but also not that bad, when you think about it.
Yeah, I feel like in general, the movie's not good. But
Yes,
when I was younger, I actually did not think the movie was bad.
yeah, of
But of
course.
course, younger me is stupid and doesn't know what good movies are.
Yeah, when you're younger, you like everything crappy.
Exactly, like the prequels.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, when the time comes.
Let's
But
let
yes,
let's not upset the prequel fanboys yet. Okay.
that'll
So
be later.
all right. So just to talk about the plot a little bit, if you guys remember Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker is down on his luck. He's having trouble balancing between being Spider-Man and being Peter Parker. He's balancing his girlfriend or his wannabe girlfriend, Mary Jane, and his friend Harry Osborn, and he's balancing Aunt May, whatever. But in this movie, all of that goes out the window because Peter Parker's life is completely fine. He's finally happy being Spider-Man. Uh, the city of New York loves him, but who cares, right? Who cares about that? You know, in this movie, he has a bunch of villains. Sorry, I almost said villains. So we have the Sandman, we have Venom, and we have New Goblin, not Green Goblin or Hobgoblin, New Goblin, which is Harry Osborn. And yeah, I mean, it's just Peter trying to marry Mary Jane while dealing with all that stuff. So it's not as good as the first two,
Clearly.
plot wise or character wise, I think.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
like even Aunt May doesn't get that much screen time in this movie, which I mean I don't think she deserves that much screen time, but when she has screen time, it should be done well. And in this movie, I don't think it's done that well. Um, so yeah, a general plot. Peter finds out that Peter gets a symbiote. Peter finds out that the Sandman is the one that killed Uncle Ben. Uh, Harry Osborn, New Goblin, tries to kill Peter. Um, Stuff happens. Peter gets all emo. Which we'll talk about later. He tries to kill Sandman. He tries to kill Harry Osborn because Harry Osborn cucks him. Um, yeah, it's a weird movie. It's kind of fun to watch it at the same time, but not really. Also, so yeah. In my notes, I wanted to talk a little bit about the stuff that changed, and I don't know if you know this, JP, but the music kind of doesn't slap anymore.
Definitely not. I don't know what
Like,
went wrong.
yeah, well, it turns out that the composer from the first two movies, Danny Elfman, I think either he didn't want to come back or they didn't want to bring him back, or like because of money issues. So they got a new composer who like mixed some of the older music and wrote some new tracks also. So yeah, right off the bat, different composer, different credits also. Like when you look at Spider-Man 2, the credits are awesome, right? They're painted by Alex Ross. You got a recap of the first movie. In this one, you just get still images of the first two movies, which is not as cool or entertaining. And the music just makes it drag on even longer. I think the only music that's good in this movie is the symbiote theme, the one where Peter like dons the black suit for the first time and he's like da 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 da. I think that's the only good track.
Definitely.
And and yeah, okay, so I think we should talk about the black suit a bit.
The black suit. I mentioned in probably I think in both episodes, the first of our first episodes, that I think the black suit is probably top three or one of my favorite. Yeah, was one of my favorite suits in all of the live action Spider-Man films. And I just gotta say that although it is not like comic accurate, like I said in the first or the second episode, I still think it's badass. It just looks great. The black just looks amazing. And that's the thing about Tobey Maguire suits that we discussed before. They're just tangible, you know. You know that they're there, and he is wearing. I mean, I don't know if he was wearing it, but like someone is actually wearing a suit and not just a mocap suit, you know.
Right, right.
And I honestly love it. I love that suit. But uh, putting aside Tobey Maguire in the black suit, what do you think of the Venom suit?
Okay, so like I love the when Toby wears the symbiote. I think it's cool that the spider like changes form too. It like wraps around. I really wish we had gotten the one they had before. Like they had made a costume before that was more comic accurate and it looks really sleek. Like it looks like just shiny black metal.
Yeah, it doesn't have the webs, right? It's
Yeah,
just
it
completely
doesn't have the
black.
webs. It's just black and it
And
has a big spider, big white spider.
yeah,
Um,
I
but
remember that.
as far as Venom goes, like Venom, um, I think it's okay looking, but I don't like it. Like I wish it was bigger. I wish Venom was like towering over Spider-Man, kind of.
I mean, yeah, that is how he's represented in the comics. So, would you have been happier with Venom looking the way he looked in his movie, Venom movie?
Oh yeah, I think for all the things that Venom like the Venom movie didn't get particularly right, I think for as far as the size goes, I think it's pretty cool and I think it's pretty accurate. And I think I would have preferred that, but at the same time, I get why they made Venom so small. Um, because it's
Why is
supposed.
that?
Well, I know. Because talking about that, we have to talk about Eddie Brock for a bit, and this version of Eddie Brock is not comic accurate.
Sucks.
Um, I do think he sucks, but I think he sucks in the right way, in which that he's supposed to be Peter Parker's like foil. So he's supposed to be the version of Peter Parker if Peter Parker grew up not being responsible or not having Uncle Ben. You know, he's a dork. Like this version of Eddie Brock is a dork. He's played by Topher Grace from that '70s show. You know, good old Eric Foreman. He's pretty dorky, but he's unapologetically dorky. And he tries to like he hits on like all the women, right? So he's just a sleazebag, but I think it works because he's like the opposite of Peter Parker, right?
Yeah.
But I don't like him. I wish they would have used him like either they should have waited for like a different movie or like just done him completely differently.
You know, if they were gonna go the way that you're saying that, you know, he's like kind of like the opposite of Peter Parker. They could have done that, yeah, but not for Eddie Brock. I don't feel like it fits.
Right. I get that. Like it could have been like some other character,
Yeah,
right?
and
Not Eddie Brock. Yeah.
you know how we mentioned the Venom movie. Although the Venom movie is not that great either, I do really like Tom Hardy. And
I think he's funny
yeah,
as Eddie Brock. I love his performance. He's just
yeah, his performance as Eddie Brock is 10 times better
it's just crazy.
than Topher Grace. And like I just gotta say, like I don't hate Topher Grace at all, but his performance in this movie, I hate it. I hate it.
Uh, did talking about Topher Grace? Did you know that he quit that '70s show to be in this movie?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, he quit from that show, and so in the last season he's not in it, and they brought in like a replacement. Bro, and
Why?
it,
I never saw the '70s show, so I'm
uh,
sorry for everyone disappointed.
no, don't worry about it. But yeah, just fun fact, not so fun fact, I guess, because it's one of the worst parts of this movie, and it's also one of the worst parts of that '70s show. So Good
Yes.
job, Topher Grace. Um, keep on editing movies. Anyways, so
I wanted to ask you, Sebastian,
okay,
because we're talking about casting,
okay.
the casting of Venom and whatever. But I wanted to ask you, what did you think about the casting of, I forgot his name, the actor's name, but the Sandman?
Oh, Thomas Hayden Church,
Yes.
dude. Honestly, I love Thomas Hayden Church. He was in Easy A, with Emma Stone. He was in some other stuff, but I love him in this movie. I honestly, like, one of my favorite things about this movie is the Sandman.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, for those people that didn't know, Sandman was supposed to be either the only villain or the main villain
Hmm.
of this movie.
Right.
And Sam Raimi, of course, was not able to do it the way that he wanted to because of the studio. And the guy that we mentioned in the second episode, do you remember his name?
Avi Arad or Arad. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that brought the idea of bringing in Venom. And like we mentioned before, Sam Raimi did not want Venom in this movie. And a lot of people blame him for it, but obviously people need to know that it's not his fault.
Yeah, I
You know?
mean, I think Sam Raimi definitely tried his best with what the studio wanted from him and what the story wanted with him. Like with the Venom, like I said, I think he did try to make, like, since Venom was in the movie, he did try to make him like the opposite of Peter Parker. Peter Parker's antithesis, whatever.
Yes.
But if I don't know, I think, like, poor Sam Raimi, man, like he got dealt a bad hand.
Yeah. I mean, we know that he's gonna be working right now. He's back in the Marvel world. He's working on Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. I'm very excited to what he does there.
I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm a little bit worried, because I feel like it might be like an Edgar Wright in the MCU type situation where Edgar Wright, like, he was going to be an Ant-Man, he was going to direct Ant-Man, but the studio let him go because of creative differences. And I don't want Sam Raimi's vision to be like pushed down in any way.
At
If
least at least he was still, he didn't get fired or anything. He's still working on it.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see an Ant-Man directed by Edgar Wright, by the way.
I would love to see any Marvel movie directed by Edgar Wright.
Yeah. Edgar Wright's one of your favorite directors, isn't he?
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So I have a bunch of notes here that from the movie
Um.
because I was live writing when I was writing the movie. I mean,
Right.
watching it.
I tried to write notes. But I was like watching the movie, and then I was like, man, I don't want to watch this movie. But so I wrote down a couple of things. So, but I mean, you wrote them down too. Like
Yes, yes,
you
sir.
wrote down the same notes, so it's okay.
Yes, it's from the beginning of the movie till the end. It's not like 20,000 notes, of course, but it's the main things that I just felt like we needed to mention.
Right.
And the very very first note that I have here is the symbiote. Where the hell did it come from?
Well, it came from space, right? We know that,
Yeah,
but
we know Venom comes from space.
this movie fucking sucks. Oh, whatever. Sorry, this movie sucks really bad. Because look, you had J. Jonah Jameson's astronaut son in the previous movie, right? All you could do is, like, you don't even have to like write, like you don't even have to shoot like him coming back from space and like the symbiote attaches to his spaceship or anything like that. You can just have a scene where they're it's like in a lab or something, and they're like, oh yeah, they found this in space, and then something else happens. I don't know, like.
It would have been kind of nice to see, like you say, the symbiote maybe attaching to his like
Yeah,
spaceship
because
when they're returning,
yeah, because that's what it is in the comics. In the original, like, continuity, it comes from space, right? Or another way that you can establish a symbiote is have it be created in a lab, like in the Ultimate Universe. Um, really, like, it's kind of weird because so far these movies have been sort of grounded. I mean, not grounded because there's obviously like superpowers and evil scientists, but since you have evil scientists already, it wouldn't be that big of a stretch to have the symbiote be born in a lab. I think the bigger stretch is to just have it come from space and conveniently like landing like 5 feet away from Peter Parker, Mary Jane.
Exactly. And no one heard it.
Yeah, yeah. It
It's a
was
meteor. Someone has to hear that coming in, or at
the.
least see it.
I mean, to be fair, it was like the tiniest like little like meteor from what I remember, but
Yes,
it,
but
it, it made it made like a pretty decent crater.
it came from absolutely nowhere.
Oh, and you know what? I don't know why like Peter's like spider sense wasn't like, oh, yeah, something's like flying towards us.
Yeah, that's
So
one thing that we mentioned before. It's his spider sense is kind of just for convenience.
yeah, well, I know that in the comics the symbiote negates the spider sense, but I think that's when it's already bonded to Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Uh,
but it's also not explained in the movie.
yeah, it's not explained at all.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of things that they just kind of glossed over, you know.
what does get explained is what the symbiote is, like a little bit, but
Yeah, from
not
Dr.
not
Connors,
where
right?
yeah, not where it came from. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The next note that I have here written down is the hit that Harry sustained from the pipe. And
Uh,
I just feel like the way he hit himself and hit to other stuff, and he was just that was a really big fall. He should have definitely died or broken an arm at least.
well, I mean he's supposed to have the goblin powers. Green Goblin, I don't know. I
Yeah, I
I
saw that. I saw that when he came out of the chamber, the same chamber, with the green smoke,
yeah.
whatever.
Okay, so since we're talking about that, what are your thoughts on the fight scene overall?
That beginning fight scene.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's an entertaining for sure. Because I mean, it was set up since the beginning. Because of in the Spider-Man 1, his Harry's father died, and he thinks Spider-Man 2. Well, he goes the whole movie thinking that it's Peter. Like it's been set up,
Right, right.
and I feel like yeah, like it was coming. Like we knew Harry was gonna want to fight Peter at some point,
Hmm.
and I think it was entertaining. I think it was funny when Harry threw the pumpkins, and
Oh
and,
yeah.
and then Peter was like, "I hate those things."
Yeah.
Like it's funny. Like this movie does have some charm, and like some scenes do make me laugh. But in general, yeah, that scene I think it's good because it was set up from the past two movies.
Right.
Uh, the only thing that was like, oh my god, was the ending of it because Harry ended up in the hospital.
Yeah. One thing I do like about that fight scene is I like that Peter's trying to get the wedding ring.
Yeah,
Like he's constantly trying to get it. So there's like some like stakes to the fight more so than well, there's already stakes to the fight because it's
yeah.
Harry versus Peter. But
But I wanted to ask you, do you think that Peter wanted Harry to get hurt like that bad? Because I mean,
I
he did wait for him with the web,
yeah, I don't think so because like the minute that Harry goes down and like he doesn't move, Peter's like, oh crap, and he like swings down to like make sure he's okay.
Mhm.
So I don't think Peter intentionally meant to hurt him like that bad.
Maybe just slow him down, I
Yeah, yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah. Just to
Yeah,
get
so
like just to get
I
the
was
advantage.
I was just thinking about that because obviously Harry hates him at that point,
Yeah,
but Peter.
but I don't think Peter hates
No, I don't. I
him.
do not think that Peter hates him, but the way that they were fighting and everything, I just feel like, oh, maybe like I don't know if he wanted him to get hurt,
Yeah,
but yeah, I
I,
guess it was just to slow him down.
for sure. Later in the movie, it is very intentional that Peter wants to hurt Harry, but
Yeah,
for this first fight scene, it's not.
yeah, but I'm gonna go
Wait,
ahead with the other notes that I have. We mentioned the Sandman. What was his
wait.
name?
Hold on.
Oh,
What do you think of his costume? Harry Osborn's new
oh,
Goblin costume.
lame. I don't like it.
Yeah, it sucks. Even his glider sucks. Like his
I actually
like
like it.
like it's just a snowboard though. Like it's not.
No, no, I get it. I get it. I know it's just a snowboard, but I guess it looks like that because they wanted the the goblin to look a little well,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
they want him to look cool.
Yeah, to look more like modernized,
Yeah,
but like his suit is just black with a mask. It's stupid.
yeah.
But I like the board.
The one thing I do like about his suit is like the
Oh
things that,
yes, like the Batman ones.
yeah, the things that like Batman has.
I don't know how to call them
Yeah, I don't know what they're called either, but
on
the
the
things that,
arm,
yeah, the things that come out of the arm,
the
the
knives on the arm.
blades, yeah,
Yeah,
those are cool. Um, I know that he was supposed to be like the Hobgoblin or the Green Goblin, and there's like a reference to that in Norman's like masks. There's like a
yeah.
golden,
I remember it was the original, and it was like a chrome mask.
yeah, it's like a slight like it has like a slightly like golden tint to it too.
Yeah, I
That
think
that would have
I
been
think it would have been,
cool.
yeah, it would have been cool. Definitely, I would have liked to see that.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I just felt like maybe they would have just been recycling it.
yeah, I get that. I just think it would have been cool to see it like the Hobgoblin suit like come to life, but it would have been too similar to Norman's costume. I feel like so I
Mhm,
do get why they changed it.
mhm.
Um, okay, so yeah. Oh, also on my notes, I wrote that James Franco is dumb because he is really dumb in this movie. I don't like or it's entertaining to see. Like when he gets amnesia, he's like my best friends. Yeah. And then he's like playing basketball with Peter in the
When
in
he
like
catches the thing.
yeah, in like his living room. He's like I don't know what James Franco was smoking in this movie, but I
Yeah,
don't.
I remember I mentioned it in our last video with about Spider-Man 2 that I didn't really like Harry in that movie. And then this one it's I mean he kind of redeemed himself by the end,
Yeah, yeah.
but I still didn't like him that much.
Mm-mm. I mean, I prefer him in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Um, and in this one, I think he's like, because since he has amnesia throughout like most of the movie, he like has like a goofier performance. Um, and then even when he gets like his memory back, he's still like really goofy. Like he's like he like taunts Peter like and then about like Mary Jane's lip gloss or lipstick, whatever, tasting like strawberries or something.
I hated that so much.
Dude, and I don't know. Okay, so he calls his butler Bernard, right? Bernard, but I'm pretty sure it's Bernard or it's supposed to be Bernard.
They just didn't want to correct them.
Yeah, I've never heard of Bernard.
You can't even pronounce Bernard.
Bernard, yeah, it's just not right.
I mean, we already know Sam Raimi didn't want to make this movie in the first place. He was probably just like, whatever.
It's
Just
like, yeah,
let's
whatever,
move
whatever.
on.
Or I mean, I could be wrong, and his like that name is just pronounced that way. But I swear I've never heard it like that.
What are your thoughts on the his assistant or like the butler though?
I think he's too old.
He's
Like,
about to croak.
yeah, like bless him, right? Because I love him. Um, in the bloopers, he like gets like the same scene wrong like 5 times, and it's the cutest thing ever. But
I've never seen that.
I think he's so old. Like when Harry's like Bernard, go get some food. He's like right away, sir. But I'm like, dude, like
Put him in a home.
dude, yeah, like let him retire. This guy's like 90 years old.
Bless him.
Yeah, man.
All right.
He is one of my favorite things about this movie, just because I'm like, oh, I see an old man. I'm like, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, I liked when he at the end when he kind of like revealed to Harry like, oh, if your father did
Right, right.
actually kill himself.
That's the scene I was talking about, where he's like, your father, pierced himself with his own gilder. He says gilder, and then he says like other different stuff, and he like messes up the take like 5 times.
Yeah, but apart from him messing up, it is a very touching moment.
No, yeah, it's nice. And I'll talk about this later, but that scene got cut from the editor's cut of Spider-Man 3, which I'll talk about later.
Yeah. So then I wanted to talk about more about the Sandman. Okay. So it was kind of revealed, I think, a little too early in the movie. But I remember they showed the scene in the police station with some detective talking to Officer Stacy, the captain,
Uh,
where he
Gwen
said,
Stacy's dead. By the way.
yeah, Gwen Stacy's dad. And I remember they said, like, I forgot the quote, or like the actual quote, but I know they said something about, here's Flint Marco's information on the Ben Parker murder. And right away I was just like, what? Like, I didn't know. Like, I knew, obviously, because I've seen the movie before. I
Mhm.
knew about the twist that they added, that he was the one that killed Uncle Ben, but I feel like it was just too early in the movie, because I don't know. And then after that they showed it. But first I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the twist?
Okay, so I wrote down that I think it's okay for a twist. I think it's pretty good in terms of like this movie's like story, right?
Mhm.
Because I think it works because even with the symbiote, I know Sam Raimi didn't want to add it, but it ties into that too. Like with the symbiote, it makes Peter angrier, and he goes after Flynn Marco, and he almost kills him.
Mhm.
Um, but then later in the movie, at the end of the movie, um, like Flynn Marco is like, hey, like it was an accident. Like it's revealed that he did point a gun at Uncle Ben, but Uncle Ben was trying to talk him out of it. And the robber from the first movie, I forget his name, like comes in and like he taps, like he brushes against Flynn Marco, and his gun goes off, and that's what leads to Uncle Ben's death, right?
Yeah.
So I think it works because um, even with the knowledge that it was Flynn Marco that shot Uncle Ben, it was because of the other guy that Uncle Ben still died, right? So
Yeah, I remember Sandman when he was when he was going to visit his daughter, and when his wife tells him to leave. I remember he says, "I'm not a bad person. Just it was he said bad timing or something like that."
yeah, yeah,
But we know that Sandman. We understand. We learned that he did not want to do this. He just, like he said, he's not a bad person. It was just
yeah.
bad timing.
Like he's though his worst crime is just being a thief,
Oh,
like being a common thief, you know?
I remember now. He said, "I'm not a bad person. I just had bad luck." Yeah.
Yeah. So and he does have bad luck. I mean, he was being chased by the cops, and he ended up being the
Yes.
Sandman.
That's
So
that's one thing. That's another thing in my notes that I wanted to mention. How the hell did they not see a person go in that little laboratory, or that field with the sand?
I don't know. They said that there was like a change in mass, and they were like, oh, it's just a bird. But I don't know how they didn't notice. Like when they turned on the
A bird.
machine, I don't know what they didn't notice, that like when they turned on the machine, that the thing didn't move. Like the mass was still the same. So
Yeah.
I don't know how that got past them.
I
Um,
mean, I would think they would at least have some camera, or maybe not a camera, but something that detects like heat,
yeah, yeah, right.
like a thermal camera at least.
I don't know. I don't know.
But I don't know how they would mess that up so bad. Like, obviously it's for the movie, but for like at a realistic standpoint, and like in my head, I'm the one thinking, like, how the hell they do not notice that?
Right,
Like,
right,
it's a government facility. There has to be cameras. You don't
right.
see a guy just jumping over the fence, and he just jumps in there. And I wanted to
Um,
I like at first I wanted to ask, I didn't ask, I wanted to ask you, but like I asked myself, what are they even doing with the sand?
I have no idea what they're doing with the sand. I forget. Um, just because I don't care that much about this movie to like. remember like every single line, or like I think they said what it was for, but I'm not sure.
I think it was something to do with testing radiation with sand or something like that.
It's something.
Yeah,
Um, but anyways, I like the scene where like he comes out of the sand.
yeah.
I think that scene is really good. Like it has no words. It's like one of the only scenes that is like I guess that's another piece of music I like from this movie. Um,
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
mhm. He like comes out of the sand. He's like trying to form himself. He sees like the locket of his daughter, which by the way we haven't mentioned. His daughter is like sick. She has like an illness or something.
Hmm.
And that's the reason why like Flint Marco steals, and that's why he like shot Uncle Ben because he was trying to get money for his daughter.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a cool scene. Um, and to finish what I was saying before about the Uncle Ben like change, I don't mind it. I think it works, especially for Peter, because the whole theme of this movie is about like forgiveness.
Yeah, that's one of the notes. One of the final notes that I had written down in about the movie, that each Spider-Man movie, it has their own like theme,
Mhm.
but I think that this movie, the biggest one is forgiveness.
Right? Yeah. Um, even Peter says it when he confronts Eddie Brock about him forging his picture. Like Eddie's like, "Hey, like forgive me, Parker, like whatever." And emo Peter's like, "You want forgiveness? Get religion." Right? So yeah, it's a big theme, and I think it works because Spider-Man would not like, even if he knew who Uncle Ben's killer was, right? He like, now that he's Spider-Man, like he wouldn't actively go kill him, right? Because that's not what Uncle Ben would want. That's not what Aunt May would want.
Yeah.
They want a responsible hero, not like a vigilante. He's not the Punisher. He's Spider-Man, right? So it's different. So
Yes, exactly.
so I think it works because trilogies are all about changing, what is perceived.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
I wanted to mention, since you talked about Uncle Ben, just a little fact here. Cliff Robertson, he's the one who played the Uncle Ben. It was actually his final film. Just a little fun fact there. And for the Into the Spider Verse,
Oh yeah,
when
yeah, yeah,
when they showed Uncle Ben in that movie, it was actually Cliff Robertson's voice when he
yeah,
says the great power with great responsibility.
yeah.
Yeah, just a little fun fact there.
I can't wait till we talk about Into the Spider Verse.
Yeah, and I'm definitely excited for Spider Verse 2.
I'm gonna write like 17 pages of notes. Yeah.
That movie's just great. And compared to this movie. Okay, though I wanted to talk about, well, the final question I wanted to ask about the Sandman is, do you think do you think his powers are cool?
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah! I think his powers are cool.
And all, yeah, they're definitely cool. I agree. But one thing that like kind of like threw me off is, since when does sand fly?
I don't know. I don't know actually. I thought he was just like moving himself, like propelling the sand. But it does look like it's like a cloud of sand in this
Oh yeah,
movie.
he fully turns into a cloud and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
flies away.
So I don't know. It makes for like a cool shot, but I think it's kind of dumb too. Um, but I love the Sandman's powers. He used to be like D tier villain for me, Spider-Man villain. But then I saw this one comic where um he like kills Peter Parker by like going into like, he basically suffocates Peter Parker and then like goes inside his body and like just fills his body with sand, so Peter's like all fat and gross, and then he just explodes. Like Sandman just kills Peter Parker, and I'm like, that's raw as hell. That's
Insane.
insane. Yeah, that guy's like A tier now, just because of that.
Yeah, it's a pretty underrated villain. I wanted to mention like just a little note that I wrote. I don't know why, but we relate every time, if you see Tobey Maguire, you're like, oh, he's Spider-Man. Or like J. Jonah Jameson, J.K. Simmons, oh, he's from Spider-Man. And also with the Sandman, I keep forgetting his name, but every
Thomas
time,
Hayden Church.
yeah, every time I see him in a movie, I'm just like, oh yeah, he came on in Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's Sandman right there.
Yeah.
That's good old Flint Marko right there.
Yes. And we were moving on now that now we
Okay.
see.
Wait, can I
What?
ask you something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so if the Sandman was in the MCU, who would you cast as Sandman?
Putting me on the spot here.
Yeah.
You know, how they're bringing in Alfred Molina again as Doctor Octopus and
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx as Electro.
Yeah.
I feel like he could come back as well.
Yeah.
Because, or if not, I don't know who. Because on the spot right now, I can't think of actors. But do you have any idea?
I was just thinking John Cena because I saw a picture of him with like a striped shirt, and I was like, he looks like Sandman to me.
Who?
John Cena. That's just the one. Like,
John Cena?
yeah.
Dude, if they cast him, no one's gonna see him.
That's true. That's true.
How are you
Never
gonna see
mind.
him?
Never mind. I don't know how John Cena films movies. I don't know what technology they use so that people can see him. But
It's crazy.
yeah.
Dude, like I literally
Wait,
don't know what he
actually,
is.
I've never seen a John Cena movie.
A movie or him?
Both. I've never seen him in the movie. Is he an actor?
Dude, whenever he was in wrestling, it was just like he was fighting nothing. Like the other fighter, he was just fighting air.
The other guy was fighting himself.
Okay, now I'm gonna move on now. That
I think you're gonna ask me something, right?
yeah, I wanted because now that the Sandman was established in the movie, we go to where Spider-Man is having his own like ceremony, or not a ceremony, but a celebration.
Oh yeah. So Spider-Man is getting the key to the city, right? Because he saved Gwen Stacy
Yes, Gwen
earlier
Stacy.
in an earlier scene.
What are your thoughts about bringing in Gwen Stacy?
Like what? Like, come on. I don't know. I get that it adds to like Mary Jane and Peter like having like a rocky relationship. But I don't like it. I think it's just adding because you already have Harry Osborn there, right? So that's one love triangle. Why do you need another love triangle with another girl? Um,
Yeah, a little fun fact here. Bryce Dallas Howard was actually pregnant during the whole movie.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it. She probably wasn't, 9 months, but
Oh yeah.
but yeah, a little fun fact there.
Wow.
I wrote down there like there was no need to kiss Gwen there in the ceremony.
That's true. I think Peter was like feeling himself because the whole city loves Spider-Man.
Yeah,
He's not a menace anymore. He's a hero. Um, but yeah,
yeah,
he kisses Gwen and he does the Mary Jane upside down kiss.
yeah. I wrote down earlier in my notes before this, but it comes up again. Do you think that Peter is selfish, and do you think he does it on purpose?
Yes, I think he's selfish. No, I don't think he does it on purpose.
Yeah, because I remember Mary Jane was like, "Oh, like they're firing me from this. They don't. There's
Yeah.
something's happening here," and he's like, "Yeah, I feel you, Spider Man."
No, she doesn't even get to tell him that she's been fired.
Oh yeah, that's true. But
She
she's telling him about struggles, and then he's like,
yeah,
"Oh
yeah,
yeah,
and
Spider Man goes through struggles all the time."
yeah, Peter's like, yeah, people are like Spider-Man, Spider-Man, and I feel better. And
Do you think
that's
he's innocently being,
yeah,
selfish?
I think that just in this movie he let the Spider-Man stuff go to his head. Like since things are finally working out, he's like, oh yeah, like everything's perfect. Mary Jane, she's perfect. She's an actress. She's hot. I don't. You know, like that's what Peter thinks. There's no worries. I'm gonna marry this girl. I get to talk about Spider-Man all I want. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, but definitely Mary Jane was not happy. I mean, we mentioned before that I don't like Mary Jane.
When is she ever happy, dude?
Yeah, that's true. A little fact here that I have written down is that Mary Jane's screams in the entire movie
Oh
were
yeah,
recycled.
yeah. I saw that too. Yeah.
I don't know why they would do that.
Did you know that in the final like fight, she wasn't supposed to be getting kidnapped?
Really? Why not?
Yeah, it was supposed to be Gwen Stacy
Mm,
that gets kidnapped. But Kirsten Dunst went up to Sam Raimi or whoever and was like, dude, what the heck? Why am I not getting kidnapped? Even though earlier she had said like, hey, like I don't want to get kidnapped anymore.
she's complaining, but then they just recycled her screams. I don't know why they would do that.
Well, I mean, when you have when Mary Jane gets kidnapped again, why record new screams when you can go back and just reuse them?
I guess so, but it's just like
Like
it's a different situation, you know?
like I didn't even notice that they were recycled until I found
Yeah,
that out,
I didn't know either.
right?
I
Because
didn't know
you
either.
can't tell.
Yeah, I guess it's true. I guess it doesn't affect the film that much, but I just feel like they. I mean, if they're gonna if you're gonna be in the movie, that at least act it out, not
Yeah.
just recycle it.
If you're gonna be, I don't know. What would you think if Gwen Stacy was the one that got kidnapped instead of Mary Jane? What would Mary Jane do then? You know,
I don't know.
like besides complain about Peter and the theater and everything.
She would just make a fit. She would just be like, "Why are you saving her, huh?"
Yeah, she'd go, what the heck? I'm supposed to be your damsel in distress, not this blonde chick.
She's gonna be very toxic.
Yeah, dude, she already is toxic.
Yeah, but
Uh,
even more like today's anything goes wrong, they'll just be like, "Hey, what the heck?"
I mean, I don't know. Peter and her should break up.
I mean, in the comics, Mary Jane dies, right? And then he goes with Gwen Stacy,
No,
or in some versions.
it's the opposite.
Already? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's wrong. That's wrong with me.
Gwen,
That's what they were doing with Amazing Spider-Man
yeah,
3.
yeah. Gwen Stacy, he dates like during college, and then he's like really flirty with like Mary Jane, and then Gwen Stacy dies, and after a while, he ends up dating Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Which, I hate Mary Jane in these movies. She's not comic accurate. Um,
Yeah, we've mentioned that we haven't liked her in every episode.
uh, I think I prefer Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, with Emma
Oh
Stone.
yeah, over both this Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane Watson from the Raimi movies.
Yeah. Now, now that we're moving on, we're still talking about Gwen and everything. She came out. She appeared in the French restaurant where Peter was going to finally propose
Mm-hmm.
to Mary Jane.
Right.
And her coming in and touching Peter's shoulder and be like, "Oh yeah, Peter, he's amazing. He's so smart."
She knew what she was doing.
Definitely,
She knew what she was doing. That scene made me so awkward when I rewatched it because I was like,
It made me cringe.
I was like, dude, like he's about to get married and you're coming here like touching his arm and all that. Like,
I mean, she did say like, "Oh, Peter has talked so much about you."
yeah,
Like
yeah,
she knew about Mary Jane. She just didn't care.
yeah. I don't know. I got weird vibes from that.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Look.
the Gwen Stacy character is good, but I don't like that.
Yeah, look. It's 2021. Guys can have friends that are girls. Girls can have friends that are guys. But
Definitely.
but Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy though, there's something going on there.
Yeah, not a fan of that.
I don't trust that Gwen Stacy. I don't trust that Peter Parker. That Peter Parker is too handsome for his own good.
Too handsome.
Everyone wants to kiss him. Betty Brant wants to kiss him.
I mean, Betty Brant is underrated.
She's so good. What's her name? Mr. Dickovich's daughter wants to kiss Peter Parker.
Oh yeah.
She's like making him cookies and stuff.
Yes. But now that of course we mentioned Mary Jane not being happy with the Gwen Stacy situation, and right after that, well, Peter gets upset. He wants to go find uh what's his name, Flint Marco,
Yeah.
because they finally show the scene. Like right after the French restaurant, they show the scene of him going with Aunt May to the police station,
Police
and they
station.
finally show Flint Marco killing Uncle Ben. And we see uh Spider-Man finally, like, just waiting by the radio. When is he gonna come out? When is he gonna? He's waiting for him because he wants to hurt him. And do you think at that point, because at that point he hadn't had the symbiote? He was like, when he was waiting, he didn't have the symbiote yet. It was in his room, but it wasn't there in his suit yet. Do you think that he wanted to kill Flint Marco?
I think yes, but I think he wouldn't have killed him. Like I think he would have just hurt him enough, and then he would have been like, "Oh crap, what am I doing?" Because he talks to MJ about it. Like MJ and him have a fight about Gwen Stacy. But once she hears that from Aunt May, MJ comes and she's like, "Hey, like I don't want you to do something stupid, like I don't want you to do something you might regret. Like don't do this, don't go after Flint Marco." And Pete's like, "Whatever, I don't need your help. I've been doing this by myself like forever. So shut up, woman. Go back
Yeah.
to your apartment."
Yeah, but then obviously while he's waiting, he gets very tired because he hasn't slept, and the symbiote finally connects with him.
Yeah, the symbiote bonds to him.
I wanted to ask, why the hell did the freaking symbiote just chill in his room for, I don't know, God knows how long, just waiting there? I mean, he could have just gone in his suit.
I think maybe it got attracted to like Pete's like feelings, like of like feeling like anger and like wanting revenge. But I don't know, because I think the symbiote feeds off stuff like that. But I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong.
I mean, they didn't explain it in the movie.
They just said it was a symbiote.
Yeah, because in my notes I just wrote, why did Venom wait so long?
Yeah. So.
And then finally we get to see the black suit, which,
yeah,
like I mentioned before, one of my favorite suits.
Yeah, it's sick. And then Peter gets all emo.
Yes. And now we mentioned I asked you about, do you think he would have gone to kill Flint Marco? But do you think that Peter would have done the same thing, like the same way it acted out without the black suit?
Like I said, no, because I think like I think he would definitely kick Sandman's ass.
Yeah,
I don't think he would have like tried to kill him.
I just think that fight scene was really brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal, but I think it kind of sucks because there's like, it doesn't compare to like the train scene from Spider-Man 2.
Definitely not.
And I think in this movie, a lot of the fight scenes.
Although there is a train in the scene.
Yeah, there's several trains. Too many trains, I think.
Yeah, but like I said, it was brutal. Like that part when he's pushing his head against the train.
Yeah, that part's sick. But look, one thing I hate about that scene, and I guess the other fight scenes in this movie, is that it started, to be reliant on CGI a lot. Yeah. So like you can tell when, like in the beginning fight, when it's Harry and Peter, like you can tell that they're like fake. It's like fake bodies, and then CGI like they pasted their faces on the 3D models.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this movie, like, that's one of the biggest drawbacks. Like,
it's kind of like what happened with Black Panther. Black Panther. The final scene. You were saying that it was extremely way too much. Now that I'm realizing that there's also
trains, right?
Yeah, there's also trains. Yeah. That's so curious. I hadn't even thought about it until I realized it. But yeah, like how you're saying that it would rely too much on CGI.
Right. And not to say that like relying too much on CGI is a bad thing, because like when you look at other Marvel movies. Like they're
Yeah.
all CGI. They
Yeah,
do
like sometimes it's necessary.
yeah, obviously, but I don't know. I don't think it was necessary for that scene. I think it would have been better if it was just hand to hand, like Spider-Man kicking the crap out of Sandman.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Now, after they finally fight, we see the emo Peter.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on emo Peter Parker?
Look, man, I've defended emo Peter forever, right?
He's funky, man.
He's funky. He knows what he thinks is cool. Is the most that I can say about him without being mean.
Mhm.
So he's a loser, right? No guy dancing like that is cool in the middle of the street.
I hate.
Um,
I have to disagree with you, man. If I dance like that, I feel like $1,000,000.
all right, okay, so maybe it's just me, but
Agree to
I mean,
disagree.
look, I like that it's supposed to be Peter like unfiltered, right? Like that's what he thinks looks cool. That's what he thinks is cool. The symbiote brings down the worst in him, but like he thinks it's the best in him. So yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. It's really entertaining.
I actually, like you say, like it's also entertaining to see like an unfiltered Peter Parker.
Mhm.
But I have to say, there was absolutely no need for for him to move his hair with bangs. It was so dumb.
I don't I don't know. I never liked that style. Like whenever he changes it in the movie, I'm like, oh, dude.
You know, and he goes to the mirror and he's like, "Oh no, I have
It's
to move my hair."
it's like too wet for me. It's like greasy looking. I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it's disgusting. But I do like
I do like the
the
scene where he hits on Betty Brant at the Daily Bugle,
yeah.
and then
I
and
mean,
then like
at that point, he's a single man.
yeah, yeah, he's like Betty Brant's like, oh, Peter Parker.
You see what I mean? That Betty Brand is underrated.
Dude, Peter was ahead of the times because he's like, I want to shoot you sometime. Like he wants to take some dirty pictures of Betty Brant. They, they're gonna set up like an OnlyFans or something.
And OnlyFans.
Betty Brant's OnlyFans.
Oh God. I mean,
Uh,
what's the price? No, I'm
low
kidding.
key, low key, I would pay for it.
And obviously now after we see emo Peter, we learn well, Aunt May, like you mentioned, she does not have that much screen time,
Yeah,
but she does tell him about she tries to teach him about morals in the
yeah.
movie.
Which
And
which I like that scene. I like that scene more than like the wedding scene because she's like talking about like her and Uncle Ben when they were younger. I like this more because it ties into the themes of the movie.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, like I don't know, she has very little screen time. Um, but I like this scene, like I said.
Yes.
Um,
And then right after that, he just completely ignores what Aunt May said, and then he goes to fight Harry.
yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah. That's true. That's true. He like
and he's like,
he
"You gonna cry?"
he's like look at Goblin Jr. and stuff like that. Um, there's no need, but I love it.
Hey, you gonna cry?
You you okay?
I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like at that point, that's when he like fully embraced
The symbiote,
the
right?
symbiote, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm done with this."
Yeah. Whatever, Harry, best friend since like whatever. You gonna cry? You gonna piss your pants?
Yeah, and then he goes to the
And
jazz
he
club.
nobody tries to kill Harry Osborn, which
Oh
we have
yeah,
like
with the pumpkin bomb.
he messes up his face.
Yeah, that scene cringes me out. I don't. It makes me like ugh, when I see Harry's face. It looks like he's having a stroke.
Yeah. Hey, dude, that's messed up, man.
I mean, am I wrong though?
No,
He's like,
you're not wrong, but
he's like Two-Face.
I don't want you to be right. That's why.
Yes. And
So after that, he goes to the jazz club
yeah, the jazz club.
and he brings Gwen Stacy. Okay, so it's a jazz club where Mary Jane works as a waitress
Yeah.
slash singer, which is weird. I've never heard of a restaurant like that, but
I mean,
Peter,
actually, it would like be down to go to a restaurant like
I
that.
mean, yeah, that'd be cool. But I'm saying I've never heard of that until this
I mean,
movie.
I mean, he did it on purpose, right?
Yeah,
To
he took Gwen Stacy, and he's a real sleazebag. He gives like $20 to the waitress so that they can like sit down. And then right before Mary Jane starts to sing, he like starts playing the piano like out of nowhere. When did Peter Parker get
when did he
lessons?
learn?
Yeah. Did he
It's
always know? Or did
it's a symbiote.
the symbiote was controlling his fingers the whole
The
time?
symbiote actually knows how to play the piano, dude.
Right, right. So yeah, and then there's like this big old dance number. He's like dig on this. He's like thrusting his hips all over the
Biggest
place.
cringe in the entire movie, in my opinion.
Um
I
and
cringed so hard.
and then he like hits Mary Jane Watson, like he pimp slaps her like across the face, backhands her. There was no need for that, I think.
Yeah,
Um
but of course, like he wasn't in full control
yeah,
of his actions.
it's supposed to be like, oh, like it was the symbiote, whatever. And that's the scene that makes Peter go like, oh, like I hurt Mary Jane.
Yeah, that's when
I
he
should get rid of the
realizes.
symbiote.
That's when he goes to the church.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
it's a kind of a gruesome scene in my opinion, because he's like tearing it off his body.
Yeah, but also, I don't know if you know the scene where it's like him like kneeling down, like it's like half of his body is covered in shadow. That wasn't Toby Maguire.
Oh, when he's like basically naked.
Yeah, when he's basically naked, that was somebody else.
No, I didn't
Be-
know that.
because as the movies went on, Toby Maguire did not maintain like the
Hmm.
physicalness of Spider-Man, so they had to get a body double for his back, and so just so that
Interesting.
they couldn't see the flabs.
Yeah,
Of,
I didn't. I actually didn't know that. But yeah, mentioning because he's tearing off the symbiote Venom, and I have to mention like uh Topher Grace, Eddie Brock coming in at the same time at the church.
yeah, he's just conveniently there.
And who the hell goes to church to wish God to kill someone?
I I don't know. Like I'm not the most religious guy.
I'm
Um,
not either, but I'm pretty sure
but I
you
would
can't
never
do
go to
that.
church. I would never go to church and be like, yeah, kill Peter Parker, please, God, kill Peter Parker.
Yeah, and obviously we see he turns. Well, he finally gets a symbiote falling down, and he looks up, and I don't know how he recognized Peter, but
Yeah. I thought that the symbiote was the one that told like that was like, yeah, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Um, but
maybe.
um,
But I don't.
I think
I
not.
wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah. So, anyways, Venom finally becomes Venom. Topher
Yeah,
Grace is Venom, and he and Flint Marko team up to get rid of Spider-Man. So they kidnap Mary Jane. They tie her up. No, they kidnap her in a cab, and they tie up the cab. Like,
yeah. I wanted to just mention here that Venom only had 7 minutes of screen time in the entire movie, and obviously we mentioned Sam Raimi did not want him in the movie,
mhm.
but I just if you were gonna include him, I just feel like he's kind of just shoehorned in,
Yeah. Well, I think that's Sam Raimi's point. Like he's like, I don't want this guy
Yeah,
in, so I'm gonna put him in as like little as
he,
possible.
he definitely did it on purpose, but yeah,
Yeah.
it just feels like that.
And I think that's also why Venom kind of like doesn't slap because Sam Raimi was like, I don't care about this guy, so like he's gonna be a stupid nerd, Topher Grace looking
Hmm.
Eddie Brock, dumb picture editing looking guy. Anyway,
Damn,
one
you
thing.
hate him.
No, I was just saying that I'm quoting Sam Raimi. One thing I like about the kidnapping scene, whatever, is like in the webs. I forget what they wrote. Um,
uh, was it Spider-Man Save Us or something? No, it was
it
like
was like
Spider-Man Come for This or something. I don't
yeah,
know.
it was like we have Mary Jane, like whatever.
Something to taunt him.
Yeah, but it was written in like the good old like Spider-Man like font from like the '90s. I just thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And that fight scene, I think it's cool because Sandman turns into a big giant monster. Um, but at the same time, I think there's no need for a big giant monster in these movies. Um,
Yeah, that's kind of one thing that I didn't mention is that uh you mentioned before that the Spider-Man 1 and 2, they're kind of like grounded movies.
Right,
And
right.
I in this movie, that's when we finally see like a superhuman villain. You know what I mean? Yeah, something that not
Right.
so
Like
normal.
Green Goblin was like he has superhuman abilities. Doc Ock
Yes,
is just a dude, which by the way, I don't know how Doc Ock took like so many punches from Peter Parker.
he held
Um,
back.
yeah, but like that guy tried to kill Aunt May, so yeah, but Sandman, he's just like made out of sand, which he has to be accurate to the comics, but he turns into a giant monster, and I don't know. It started. It feels like this movie tried to be as big as it could be because it's the third movie. Like they're
Mm,
really these movies were popular. More superhero movies are coming out. Like we need to be bigger. We need to be badder.
mhm.
Emphasis on badder, by the way, because like I said, this movie's bad. Um, if you forgot that this movie's bad. um,
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
I had to say like this movie. Oh God.
like it's look, it's not the worst Spider-Man movie,
It's not, but
but it's not good.
it's not good, of course. But would you say that this movie is better than Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Oh, then Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I think so. Like the only thing I like about Amazing Spider-Man 2 is like
The suit.
the suit
Yeah, me
and
too.
like when he web swings in that suit, I think it's really really well done, really good CGI.
That's one
Um,
thing they got really good. I really like the swinging scenes
yeah,
in
dude.
Spider-Man 2.
We'll talk about that when we talk about those other movies because I
Yeah,
could talk about that forever.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think this movie's better than that one. I don't know if it's because I don't know if it's better than the first Amazing Spider-Man to me because I'm like I kind of flip flop between these two,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
it's I don't think it's not that good.
And going back to the final scene, we finally get, you know, epic battle that
Yeah.
it's been hyping up, and obviously not as epic.
Well, Spider-Man gets his ass kicked,
Yeah,
right? Like he's getting hammered by the Sandman. No homo, by the way.
could be the end of
But
Spider-Man, like the
yeah,
news reporter
could
said.
this be the end of Spider-Man? Um, and then Green Goblin shows up, or the new Goblin shows up, Harry. He's like, I gotta save Peter and MJ. They're
Yeah,
my best friends. Whatever, blah blah blah.
and
And
then he dies.
and then he dies. He gets impaled by his own glider, just
The
like his
same way.
just like his dad. Venom freaking stabs him, and then Peter does a really cool thing. Like he makes like a cage and he with some bars, and he makes like a sound trap, right, for
Hmm.
Venom, and he pulls Eddie out of Venom, and then he blows up Venom with a pumpkin bomb. But but
He just completely disintegrates.
yeah, and Eddie, well, it's the same pumpkin bomb that killed those guys
Yeah.
that were on the balcony, like Professor X and those other guys.
Professor X, yeah, I remember that.
So it's one of those disintegrating pumpkin bombs. But stupid Eddie Brock can't live without the symbiote, so he jumps in as the bomb is exploding and he dies too. You see a skeleton and it's sick. I think it's real. It's
So
it's
dumb.
it's fun. Yeah, it's dumb, but like in a fun way. And then
Makes sense for the movie, but it's dumb.
yeah, and then Harry dies and the movie ends and then yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
oh,
we talk, what
okay,
were we
so out of the first five movies, right? Like this trilogy and the Amazing Spider-Man duology, Spider-Man 2 is the only one that does not end in a funeral.
Oh wow.
Or like
Spider-Man 2.
or
That's
like
true.
or like there's no funeral like at all in that movie.
That is, I hadn't even noticed that. No. Good point
Yeah,
there.
I saw that in the video and I was like, man, that's just lazy right there.
Yeah. Well, now we finally got to the end of the movie. Now, I have to mention some some facts here that I have. I know I mentioned before, but I want to mention some more. The first one is that Spider-Man 3 was almost going to be split into two movies. And do you think that would have been good for the movie or bad?
I think it would have been good, but at the same time, I feel like just make separate movies. Like make one about the Sandman, make one about Venom, and then
Hmm.
have Harry there as like connecting the two movies. I guess like it's an
Hmm.
overarching thing, but it's two separate movies. I think that would have worked out better.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think it would have been better as well. I agree. And you know how I mentioned like Venom was like kind of shoehorned in.
yeah,
I
or
feel
just
like with the more screen time
yeah,
and a better Venom,
yeah,
I think the movie would have been would have worked really well.
right, yeah, like like I don't think Venom should have been like maybe the main focus if Sam Raimi wasn't like
Hmm.
feeling it, but I think he could have been like a good like he would have been better if he would have had longer screen time.
Yes.
Like you could have had a
Definitely.
movie where like Harry uh is like teaming up with Venom, but then Venom gets like all crazy and big and strong, and then that's when Harry and Pete have to team up. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention another little casting fact that Scarlett Johansson was almost going to play uh, Gwen Stacy, and obviously, if she
Pretty
was
cool.
probably in that movie, she probably wouldn't have been in the MCU. I mean, they're a couple years apart, but um, it wouldn't have worked out. It probably would have ruined her career.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so that's all the facts that I have right now. Do you have any others?
So the only thing I was going to bring up is that there's an alternate version of this movie. Um, it's the Spider-Man 3 editor's cut. It cuts down some scenes and deletes some scenes altogether. Um, and it also has like some different scenes. Like I said before, there's the scene where Harry talks to Bernard, right? And that's what makes him go save Peter Parker and MJ. But in the editor's cut, it's a different scene where Harry looks at a picture of his friends and then he sees like the news and he's like, "Oh crap, they're in trouble," and he goes by himself, like without that information for Bernard or Bernard. I'm sorry. Um, and then there's an extra scene at the end where it's Flint Marco's girl daughter Penny. She goes outside and there's like a sandcastle in like the middle of the parking lot, meaning like it's her dad. Overall, I think you're fine watching either of these two versions of the movie because they're still pretty bad.
Not gonna
It,
save the movie.
yeah, it just depends on what you want to see. Like the editor's cut tries to be like shorter. It tries to be it adds some nicer things, I think, but it's still the same movie. Like it doesn't save the movie like at all.
Yeah, it's
So
like controversial opinion, but it's like you're meant the way you're talking about it, it's kind of like the Justice League. I know we'll probably talk about the Justice League at some point, but I have to mention from now that Zack Snyder's version of it is overrated. I know we're talking about
um,
Spider-Man, completely different things, but I just
yeah.
had to mention it.
So
It
I haven't seen the Snyder cut yet because it's long. And
yeah.
to be honest with you guys, I never finished Justice League because I thought it was kind of bad.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when we talk about that. Like
Yeah,
I'll
I had to mention it because the way he was talking about it, I just feel like sometimes a director's cut it's not gonna save the
yeah.
movie.
Well, the funny thing about this is that it's not the director's cut. It's an editor's cut of the movie
Yeah.
where they tried to fix it. And I don't think it works out for the better, but I don't think it works out for the worse either. Like they both stand like this, like they're
Yeah.
both doing the same thing. So yeah, with that being said, that's the end of this trilogy. This
Yes.
movie killed Spider-Man, like Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Uh,
Um,
do you think that Sam Raimi knew that it was gonna be bad?
I think yes, because I've heard interviews saying that he like if he could make this movie again, he would do it like differently, or like that he's not proud of this movie like at all.
Mhm.
Um, which is sad because he like after this movie wrapped, like he had ideas for Spider-Man 4. There's storyboards. You know, it's supposed to
Yeah.
have the Vulture. It's supposed to have Mysterio, Bruce Campbell, who's in
Yeah.
this movie again.
John
Um,
Malkovich was gonna play the Vulture.
yeah, bald Malkovich over here. Um, yeah, and so like he went to the studio and he was like, "So what's up? What's going on with Spider-Man 4?" And they were like, "Are you sure you want to do Spider-Man 4? Maybe you want to do something else." And that's when he got the hint that like, oh, they're gonna reboot the franchise instead of moving on with my version of Spider-Man 4. And it just sucks, you know, like the trilogy ended on like on like a downer. Um, it's not the worst like movie trilogy.
Mhm.
Um, but it's got one of the weaker like endings. Um,
So, what would you rate it?
the trilogy or this movie?
The movie and then the trilogy.
I would give this movie like a 5 or 6, I think. Um,
I agree with the 6.
just because like I do enjoy it more than I don't like it because I usually view the trilogy as a whole, and this is the low point. If we're going for like the trilogy, I think I would say an 8 because of this movie. Um, like Spider-Man 1 and 2, Spider-Man 2 especially is like almost the perfect movie. And this movie just brings it down for me a lot, you know. Like I try to avoid this movie as much as I can.
Yeah, like I agree with you. It brings it down, and I like as a whole, I'd probably rate the trilogy an 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
of course, it doesn't mean I don't love it. I still love this trilogy. I always will.
Hmm.
And even though this movie is not my favorite, I'll still keep watching it years going forward because it just completes it.
Yeah,
And there's of course there's stuff that we don't like, but there's also stuff that we do like.
right. Yeah, like it's not the worst superhero movie. It's not the worst Spider-Man movie.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So
Every movie has something that we can appreciate, and that's the thing that I really enjoy about these movies is that everyone can enjoy it their own way.
right, and I mean that's the same thing about like any other movie. You
Yeah.
know, just because we don't like a certain thing doesn't mean you guys have to agree with us. You know,
Yeah.
we may not like this movie. You guys may love it. I used to love it at some point. You know,
Yeah,
we
me
we
too.
we may not like Justice League that much, but hey, maybe we'll change our minds when we watch it again. You know, we might find something new that's
Yeah.
worth liking when we rewatch it. And that's the good thing about movies that you can form your own opinions and you can change your opinions whenever something new comes along.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah,
Yes, of course. Sebastian makes a good point. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't like a movie.
yeah. I make fun of my girlfriend a lot because she likes like like cartoon movies, but I only do that as a joke. She usually likes really good movies, and even the ones that are kind of like bad, like we still have a good time when we watch them. So yeah, I think that wraps up this episode. Or would you like anything else? Would you like to add anything else, JP?
No, I think we pretty much covered the movie, but I just want to mention that I hope you enjoy. I just want to say that I hope you enjoyed us talking about Spider-Man, the whole trilogy, and of course, we'll move on from Marvel from now on. If you would like us to talk about any movie in specific, it doesn't have to be Marvel. It could be anything, or anything comics. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Nothing nerdy. It could be a horror movie. It could be a funny movie. Anything you would like.
Yeah,
We'll be hoping to hear from our listeners, and we would love to have you guys' input on this.
yeah.
And
What we might do, we might put a poll after this with like a couple movies, and you guys can vote what movie you think we should talk about, or just comment what movie you
yeah,
would like us to see next.
comment on our YouTube, or you can tweet at us, or you can comment on our Instagram.
Any of our
Uh,
social medias.
yeah, we have a Twitter, we have a YouTube, a TikTok. Did I mention Instagram? Yeah. So
Yeah,
anything you could think of, we have it. We also have a Facebook page now. Came a little bit later, but we have it now.
right.
Make sure to follow, subscribe, and I follow, subscribe, either one of those. But yes, Follow us on all our social medias. It would really appreciate us, and leave a like if you can. Rate us the best you can if you enjoyed the show,
Yeah,
and
and
we'll be back.
yeah, and let us know what we can do differently. We're trying our best to improve. We're new to this, so just let us know. Give us feedback, and
Yeah,
yeah, remember, guys, stay till the credits. I've been Sebastian.
yeah. Always stay to the credits. I've been JP Quintana.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye.